Oh, and and
Oh, are
there,
we back?
yeah, we have returned.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
hi.
here.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Welcome back to a different day, different time, but still is the Grand Slam podcast. And of course, it's me, your host, Edgar, and I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts, Robin and Will from South Texas.
Hi.
Hello.
Shalom.
How are you? Are you well?
Yeah.
Now I'm not talking to you, Robin. I'm talking to the people. I will get to talking to you when I say, Robin, how are you? Robin, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Good.
Very, very nice, nice.
Happy to hear.
Indeed.
Hey,
But-
Rob.
What?
Did you
God damn it.
ever eat that potato?
That potato?
That the raw potato or the potato that came from the ground.
You know, that raw
kept-
russet potato still with a
I
little bit
just
of
kept
dirt on it.
eating. Just
Just
kept
kept
eating.
eating.
Yeah.
Mm.
We told you to stop, but you just.
I have a whole sack here. I have to finish them.
Oh.
Yeah. Robin.
Oh my God.
Okay, Robin went out and bought and this is real, people. This is not fake. Robin went out to the farmers market with me. Edgar, we didn't invite you on account of the restraining order.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can't go back to that farmers market ever again. Just
Yeah.
because they're giving out free samples, Edgar, doesn't mean that you can keep eating the samples.
I mean, it's free samples. Does it? I'm like, what do you do with the free samples after it? I mean,
They
just
have
throw
one
them away.
sample and then you move on. They can eat. Edgar, there was a line behind you and you said, okay, free samples, and you just started eating. You brought your own fork. You were just like, oh, these are really good, and you were eating it, and then you like snapped your fingers at the guy and were like, hey, I need more free samples. And the guy was like, you need to move, sir.
You over here. Just
Well,
snapping at him.
To be fair, that was because I was. Oh, that was a wet burp. There we go.
I don't ever want you to describe your burps as wet again, please. We need to establish that.
I'm like, aren't they all wet? Because like,
Yeah, but we don't have to bring attention to it.
what would be a dry burp? Like,
Something from the back of the throat. Just, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I think a dry
I
burp
don't
would
know.
be like where you're burping, but like it scratches your throat. You're like,
What? No, back to the potatoes.
Don't you ever just stab the back of your throat with a fork?
what the fuck?
That was a chunky that's vomiting. That's vomiting. Okay.
That technically was a chunky burp.
Chunky, Jesus Christ. Just, doctor, get the garlic bread, put it in a little water, and just grind it up and inject it into my veins. I want the garlic bread. No, but Edgar got barred from that particular farmer's market, and Robin and I went, and Robin bought a sack of potatoes. I know what y'all are thinking. Y'all are like, oh, like 5 or 10 pounds of potatoes. No. That would make sense because you can buy 5 or 6 pounds of potatoes at the store. Robin bought a 50-pound burlap sack of potatoes with dirt in it. These were fresh.
And apparently Robin said specifically dirt. I wasn't there, but like I remember you were telling me, Will, that he was like specifically dirt.
I'll be honest, like the second time it sounded like you said specifically, but the first time it sounded like you said pacifically. I just
specifically Pacific.
It's specific time. That means it specifically starts at 10. It's at 10 specific time.
Specific.
I hate the both of you.
Oh, I don't know if you guys can notice in my screen. I got a new picture. I got a picture here. I placed it here because I was like, oh, I like it. I didn't want to put it like around here because it looked weird. So this side of the wall can look interesting maybe, but I bought these
instead of the white brick of jailhouses. That's what it's like. Hey, look, I got the warden. Let me get a picture.
Because at the university I'm at, there's people selling posters and stuff, and I got this one, which is let me change the camera. I don't know if you can see it. Let me
You
put
can
it
change the camera.
like as you can see. It's not you don't see anyone else, but you can see that I got that picture.
Oh, you're
Uh,
just moving the camera. I thought you had a second camera for
no,
like
that
wide shots.
that would be cool. I do have a camera, but I don't know how to like control it to be like a camera for my laptop. I have to learn that stuff.
No, I'm fine with that. I was just like, where the fuck did you get the budget for this? Because I've been crunching the numbers and we are in debt. And I
I
was
don't.
like, how did you get a second camera? I didn't even approve the dogs from like 6 months ago that we had in a video. But no, this is fine. You're just being the cameraman and like wiggling
Yeah.
your camera around. That's fine. Also, it's a pretty picture, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
But
That's
like,
that.
Just sort of imagining it's just gonna just zoom in and out.
but yeah, so the people like listening audio version only. Well, I'm like, sorry, you can't see this, but But also, my boy Soppy Carnivore did mention, and it is a good question. Were they sweet potatoes?
no, these were russet potatoes.
Why would I
These were
ever eat a sweet
bakers.
potato?
Good.
Okay, well, we're coming back to that piece of shit sentence in a minute. So it's a russet potato. A good baking potato.
Potato.
It's a good baking potato. Which, by the way, just because it's a good baking potato doesn't necessarily mean it's a good frying potato, as we all know. Blah 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 starch, blah 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 structure of molecules, not the same thing. But anyway, why wouldn't you eat a sweet potato, Robin? Is because
I hate sweet potatoes.
Well, you're wrong. Your taste buds are cursed by the devil.
Well, just like you're wrong
You
with
need
fucking
Jesus.
coleslaw and Brussels sprouts.
That was a pre-show reference. Fuck you, Robin. I told that to you and our viewers and Edgar and the future viewers of possible content that I didn't like coleslaw, and I said that. Fuck it, it's a stupid bit. I'm not doing it anymore.
But yeah, air fried potato. What?
Oh, I think you misunderstand. You see, to air fry something, you need oil. And
Yes.
Robin, help me out here. You're the guy who invented air frying.
Well, air frying is just a healthier way of frying stuff.
Yeah, but like the oil, where does it come from?
Where does it go?
It just kind of appears.
Oh.
Wait, so if the oil just appears and we know how to air, Jesus Christ, Edgar, if the oil just appears and we already know how to air fry, why aren't we just sucking oil out of the air to like power our cars?
No, you see,
that's what the air
fryer is made for.
Oh.
See, that machine pulls the oil out of the air and makes it, and then we use that oil for food.
Yeah. But like, if I want to drive my car, you can drive my car. If I want to drive my car, can I hook it up to an air fryer so that it pulls oil out of the air so that it can power the car?
You see, we tried to do that. Edgar, do you want to give him the results of what happened in our last two tests?
They blew up.
Edgar's Fiat blew up. Yes.
Yeah. It.
I forgot you drive a fucking Fiat. I like that. I knew that. I knew you drove a Fiat, but like that fact slipped my mind, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Edgar drives a fucking Fiat." And it's perfect, by the way, because Edgar is a very tiny person.
Well, we are going to try to test it on a on a rocket ship that we found at some museum that belonged to somebody named Von Brown? I don't know. Well, we're
Mm.
just gonna see and try to
Oh
try
yeah,
to
Nick Brown's uncle. Yeah.
yes. We're
Uh,
gonna that's an inside joke.
We're also
yeah.
gonna get a Ford F-150 because Ford F-150s in Texas are Ford F-150s and the best Ford F-150s to get in this world. So get a Ford F-150, guys, because we're gonna use
We're
um
not sponsored, by the way.
we're not sponsored by Ford 150s because I don't
By
drive
the
trucks.
way,
I drive a
people at,
tiny I drive a tiny Fiat that's an Italian based Fiat and it's me.
by the way,
I
the
mean,
people at Chevy would the people at Chevy would like us to say that we drive Fords. Uh
yeah.
oh gosh.
If I were to get a Ford, I'd either get like a Fusion or the Focus.
If I
Or
were
what's
to drive a Ford, I'd be
or
pushing it a lot.
I'd get a Crown Vic. I just get a Crown Vic and drive that
That's
around.
that sounds like an alcohol beverage.
Well,
I
Crown
drive my Chevy around the ranch and
well,
we
a Crown Vic is
punch
what
cattle.
a Crown Vic is what po- police places
Wait,
use.
if someone were ever to
Police
make
places use not
Yes.
anymore, buddy. They
They
don't
now
use
use
they
a
don't
new
they,
Ford.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fucking
you know,
Chargers and
because
shit.
like there's a lot of like alcoholic drinks that have like different names in them. Do you ever
I
think
thought
that
you were
they
gonna say something else. I was like, you know how there's like a bunch of alcoholics, and I was like, is this my intervention? What is this? Like, I don't come to your house and smack the casserole out of your hands. What are you doing
No,
with my drinks?
I was gonna say like you know how like there's like different types of drinks with different names like the cinnamon toast crunch. Do you ever think someone has made already an alcoholic drink called the Ford F-150?
Yes, I believe I have had this drink. So,
Oh.
what you need is it's made in a beer stein, right?
Mhm.
Um,
A
it's a
beer
very big.
stein.
It's made in a beer stein, Robin. Let me explain. So, it's made in a beer stein.
Mhm.
You pour like a really nice beer, like a Budweiser, right? And you put that in the beer stein. The joke there, people, is that you pour a really nice beer like a Budweiser. Budweiser is not a good beer. Stay with me, folks. You pour a really nice quality beer like Pabst, right? Pabst Blue Ribbon into the glass, and you fill it up about 2/3 of the way. And then you top that off with oh any whiskey you want, as long as it's a bourbon. It's got to be American. So probably Jack Daniels. And I know what you're thinking. Will, Jack Daniels isn't a bourbon. Jack Daniels is a Tennessee sour mash. I know, but anything that's American is bourbon. So stay with me. You top it off with a lot of bourbon, and then you just dump a dump a couple of shots of diesel on top. You light it on fire and you
Oh,
drink that. It's the
oh
Ford F-150.
god.
It'll put
Oh,
some hair on your chin.
God
Um,
damn it.
which anybody who knows, actually, that's just a modified Boilermaker. Um, you see, that joke had layers that were unappreciated by my co-host until I got to the diesel and the lighting it on fire. But the fact that I said use a nice beer like a Budweiser,
I will
that's
say
hilarious.
I will say I got a bit confused because I'm like, oh, because for a second I was like, okay,
You know, you
he's
get
you were creating a drink, but then you added Budweiser. I'm like, wait, what? Budweiser's not a fancy beer.
yeah, like I was gonna continue it.
Hence the
Like
humor.
we're gonna use a nice, great import, Shiner bot.
Shiner.
Now,
We're gonna use Shiner imported beer. Oh
That is true.
God.
That is true, Mr. Jabberwocker. Remember, kids, don't actually drink fuel of any kind. You will
Yeah,
die.
fucking don't. Yeah, this
well,
this is
Robin,
shut the
shut up,
fuck up,
Robin.
Robin. I swear to God. Remember, this is a uh well, I don't want to say comedy. Um this is a slightly funny show sometimes. Um we try really hard to be funny, and do not actually consume fuels of various types. Diesel,
Ital-
batteries. Maybe don't do that.
uh,
Unless the
Ital-
Italian motor oil bottle that's actually alcohol. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to dismiss it.
Yeah, no, there is a there. So there's this show called Cold Ones where um, they do videos.
anything.
Usually, yeah, they do like any kind of videos, and they'll usually show off like new types of drinks that they've gotten from around the world, and one of them is a is an Italian alcohol that is in the bottle itself is like the shape of like a motor oil can, but
Yeah.
the inside is just alcohol. It's not oil. It's a cool design.
Ever
Um,
cleared down the hash.
oh,
That's what
oh,
that's what Snappy
oh,
Carnivore said.
oh, God! This is gonna move on to our sponsor, G
G
Fuel.
Fuel, G Fuel, guys. We're not actually sponsored. Maybe sponsored. Never sponsored. Might be sponsored in the future, but not sponsored by G Fuel right now.
Guys, we're sponsored by G Fuel. G Fuel, it's what ranchers drink when they're driving their F-150s on the ranch, punching cattle and rounding up hombres. G Fuel, not just for gamers anymore, folks.
My favorite G Fuel's the one with PewDiePie. Tastes very cool. I feel
I
like I'm
believe-
a gamer now.
We got a number one victory royale. Yeah, Fortnite, we about to get down.
Get down.
Um,
Oh
So,
no, my friend just got downed.
So what are we here? What are we here to talk to the people about?
Oh yes,
Well, I'm
that's
having problems getting out of this voice. I think I'm gonna do the rest of the show like this, and
Sorry, I had to slap myself.
but
I couldn't get out of the voice. It was consuming me. I was having terrible thoughts of just eating cold cans of beans, despite the fact that I was near a campfire, and I have a house. Like I was outside, just sitting there next to a fire, eating cold beans because
the voice.
made me want to do that. Also, I had a horse, but I didn't ride the horse because I had an F-150. But I had a horse. And I think the horse's name was like Lightning or something like that. And then it ran off into the distance, and one tear went down my cheek, and I was confused. But G
That's all.
Fuel, it's technically consumable. We're not sponsored.
No, maybe. Hope in the future. Who knows? I don't
but-
know.
But in the
Probably
future, we
not.
might be sponsored by Werther's Original. Werther's Original. That grandmotherly candy that's in the bottom of her purse that you got when you were 4 or 5 and you were excited. And then you weren't excited for a long time. But then in your 20s, you were at the store. You saw Werther's and you thought, duh, that's the stuff. Werther's Original. Insert music. Dun, 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 dun.
But yeah,
Anyway.
I've never had that horse G Fuel, but it probably just tastes like glue, and it's
Try the new horse G Fuel,
Fuel.
friends. It's the kind of G Fuel that'll make your horse run for miles.
G Fuel.
The Kentucky Derby happened a while ago.
But of course we are here because we are here to talk about, but not a movie this time, because this month is.
Are we?
This month
I
it's.
thought this was a court required attendance thing. It's like you got to do community service here and talk to these guys. It's like, okay, judge, this is a strange one, but I'll do it.
It's a weird thing, Judge.
Good morning, Judge. All right, what are we here for, Edgar?
we we are here because this month is TV month. So we already have the selection of what we're gonna watch, and today we're doing Will's pick. And Will, what show did you pick, and what we gonna talk about today?
Yeah, I picked the first season of Monk. So
Wait.
I wanted to watch Monk.
Wait, then what have we
but-
watched?
Monk. It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh my god.
It's on
This
Amazon
is big.
Prime. I
This is
wanted
a
to watch
sham.
Monk.
This is a
wanted to-
shakedown.
Yeah,
Nice.
Monk. The 2002. Monk. Starring Tony Shalhoub,
I swear to
Jason
God, Will.
Ray Stanford, and Ted Levine. I don't understand. Yeah, see, Captain Vulgar gets it. He liked Monk as a kid. See, it's nostalgia for me because, Tony Shalhoub did a really good job, and he was in 13 Ghosts. So Monk. I wanted to talk about Monk. Oh,
God
I
damn
have
it.
just gotten a message that we are in fact not talking about Monk because my my telegram did not get through. And so we are going to watch and review the Netflix series Q Force. Q Force, which is like Monk in that it is also available on a streaming service, but
Oh.
not like Monk in that it is not about a man who is a detective, because these are spies. These are spies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they are all part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and it's this show is basically Archer but gay. Okay,
Yeah.
it's Archer but gay. It's a nicer version of Archer, but also gay.
One thing I will point out, I was saying to you guys behind the scenes, I don't know if I think I told you, Will, but the way the show looks, well, first thing, guys, the show is an animated show, but the way that the way it looks, the show kind of reminded me that it looked like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like if it was, I don't know why, it felt like it kind of had that look. Like it's like, oh, it's the mission of the day, and they're on to like solve this case and stuff. And I was like, yeah.
But Q Force,
Yeah,
that's what we're
like-
reviewing.
I mean, I kind of got that too, but at the same time, it gave more Archer vibes than it did a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying like the animation itself gave me that look, but
Like,
whenever the like the story and the comedy presence came on, that kind of did give me that Archer feel.
I will be honest. I wasn't a big fan of the animation itself. It just didn't click with me. Just the animation. But I mean, the show. It was fine. Like I enjoyed to me, I'll be honest, I enjoyed the latter half of the first season.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy the character. There are two characters in it that I really enjoyed. It was a character named Stat, who's from what I read on Wikipedia, is a transgendered hacker who has a secret, and I'm not sure what their pronouns would be in the story, because I don't think I caught that. But anyway, then there's the character Twink, who is, which I thought that this was a great usage in terms of for what the what the setting is of them being spies. Twink is a drag queen who uses his ability to dress and drag to make like a lab, like like master of disguises type stuff.
Yeah,
which I was like, that
of disguise. It's really cool.
Which I was like, I'll be honest, like when I saw, I was like, that's an interesting way to do it. I kind of that was kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
and I don't know, they were the two that made me kind of uh laugh a bit more in terms of, and also it just I know me and Edgar we talked about this, but it's like we're not we enjoyed watching some of it, but like we weren't really the right demographic for it. Um
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes in this show that
Mhm.
um I feel you kind of need a little inside
yeah,
like
Yeah.
because there were a lot of jokes that were said that kind of went over me and Edgar's heads because we were like, we're not the right demographic for this. We don't really get those jokes,
Mhm.
but there were some that we did get, and some of them were funny. But uh,
like
it,
like there's a good line where it's like, I don't know, it's one of the last, like the last
Oh.
episodes of the season where it's like, well, call me Wells Fargo because I'm doing this for all the wrong reasons. And it's like, that's funny. Like, it's like you're doing the right thing for all the wrong reasons. Like, call me Wells
yeah,
Fargo. You know,
yeah,
that's funny. But like, and the show's filled with good one-liners like that are like throwaway lines that I was like, ha, that's funny. That's that's really good.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. For me, the show, like, I liked the show. Like, don't get me wrong. Overall, I have more like nice things to say about the show than like criticisms. But
hmm,
Mhm.
like, I kind of thought that like the storyline wasn't that great. Like,
Yeah.
overall, like
yeah,
the characters were great, like the premise was good, like, hey, these this is like, these are all gay spies and they do spy stuff, they just happen to be gay, right?
Mhm.
And it's like,
yeah,
okay. And then like, yeah, okay, there's politics and all that kind of stuff involved, and like, that, oh, you know, real world type events. Okay, cool. I
hmm,
get it. It's fun. But like, the thing about Archer, like, if I'm going to compare this to Archer, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's
yeah,
because Archer is kind of setting the mold here. The thing about Archer is that it's so extreme with a lot of its cases,
yeah,
like like eco-terrorism. There's an episode in Archer about eco-terrorism, right? And they go to a swamp and they have to fight alligators, and there's a gator that wants to kill Archer. That's like, a okay, this is a real world thing, and there is eco-terrorism, right? It exists. But
Yeah.
also, now let's send him down to the swamp, and he's got to fight alligators, and like, there's an alligator that wants to kill him, and like, they make that part of the alligator's character. The alligator's like, I'm gonna get you, like, that
yeah,
kind of thing, right? And it's over the
Mhm.
top funny. This does over the top funny. Q Force does over the top funny, but in like, you kind of have to know ways. Like,
yeah.
Mhm.
It's not generalized as it is in Archer, whereas in Q Force it's more, if you get it, you get it,
yeah,
kind of thing. And it's like, well, I'm not, some of the, like I said, some of them went over my head because I am not really a part of the community. More of an ally, but it's just like, I won't get the jokes at like, there's some that I won't get
Yeah, a
because
lot of them, like, 'cause there were some that really flew into my head, like flew over my head. I mean, and like, I mean, for me, the characters, like, I did enjoy like the characters' banters and how they acted. My main issue was like how what Will was saying is like the story and how it was presented, because like the beginning of the show felt like, I know the first episode they were introducing people, and there was this thing that I noticed where they would introduce like this thing that looked like it was going to be important and would be like the main focus of the show, but immediately, like after the next episode, they concluded it. And they did that for a lot of episodes, and I felt like that kind of felt like it kind of rushed. I felt like they could have kind of fleshed it out a bit more to make the whole season have that kind of cohesive like flow with the story, because there are
Yeah.
like what like you were saying, like the latter half is where it gets a bit more intriguing, showing like because also spoilers if you haven't seen it, it's a new show, but um and I'm not gonna really spoil much of it, but like there's some big things that happen that like the character, like some most of the characters start realizing and trying to understand, and I felt like that could have been like a premise that could have continued on over, like if they were
We-
planning to do like a second season, if they wanted to do like
Which
that could have been.
it doesn't feel like that they are, because that's just it just feels like they just kind of concluded it.
Yeah.
No, they want to do a second. I think they
Mhm.
want to do a second season.
Yeah,
But
I don't
like
think
so
it.
many Netflix shows where like they like net this is Stefan. So like our friend Stefan has made this criticism that like Netflix pushes so hard to do their own content, and then like some of it just really sucks. So this might be yet another Netflix one and done kind of situation.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
think the writers want to do more,
Yeah.
but the show itself has gotten a lot of mixed reviews.
Mhm.
And that's not like I'm those reviews don't influence what I think about the show,
Yeah.
but like enough mixed reviews for Netflix is gonna make them go, I don't really know if we ought to continue this. So whether or not the writers get a second season or not, you know what? I got a beef with Netflix. This is not about the show anymore. This is about something else. They canceled Sabrina. They canceled
Yeah.
Sabrina,
Yeah.
and I'm angry about it.
Because
I'm
I
still
think,
bitter.
yeah, because I think like, yeah, Stefan, like our friend Stefan has that point where like Netflix like brings a lot of like they're trying to get like a lot of their original content with these shows. Like their movies is like, okay, it's like different like one-off movies that they have, but whenever it comes to like a specific show, it's always really hit or miss on if the show's gonna get greenlit for another season, or they're just gonna can it for good, like it's just gonna be
Yeah.
just one season and it just be gone. And even if they're like popular, it could end up like Sabrina, um how like I've never seen Sabrina, but I knew a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine really liked that show, and were like mad that you know that that Sabrina got canceled, and yeah, that was kind of like I was like kind of like what the fuck,
Especially if it
but
was
And
like
they
they
did
were.
it in a shit way too.
yeah,
But this show was this review is not about Sabrina
yeah,
or
but yeah, I
I have
just
a
want,
lot of
because
anger. A lot
yeah,
of anger.
I just want to point that out because it's a good point, Will, though, like to address, because it is an issue with sometimes with Netflix, where it's like, yeah, that's kind of the reason like a lot of people kind of like go off it, other than like people been using it over and over, and it's there's like like unless you're like Stranger Things, or if you're lucky enough to be one of those like niche shows that no one really knows, because you have to be, because the ones that like the big popular ones on Netflix would be like um Big Mouth, or Stranger Things, like those kind of big Netflixers to get that popularity out. But then you have
Mhm.
those like lucky um like hidden gems that you see there, that like Black Mirror or BoJack Horseman, where like you would never expect those kind of shows to like have a
Black Mirror
continue.
is the thing about Black Mirror, though, is that it's a special case because it became a Netflix show. It
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, they
originally
bought
was
it, right?
Yeah, it originally was a BBC show, and then they stopped. BBC didn't want to do it anymore, so then Netflix picked it up.
Mm. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because there is that kind of like that issue with those, because I'll be honest, BoJack, for me, BoJack Horseman is one of like my favorite adult like Netflix shows that they've released in a long
I
time,
need to
and I
rewatch
would
it.
and
I just couldn't get into it the first time, but I know
mhm.
I want to rewatch it
Yeah,
and try.
because I know, and I was just, for me personally, I was just surprised how they've never just canceled that show. I was always surprised they never canceled it, because it seemed like one of those shows that Netflix would have just like shut down, like they did with Sabrina and stuff. And it has that weird thing, because with Netflix, like there is some good like original stuff that they have on there, but then they also but that, at the same time, like even if there's some of those Netflix originals they have that are good, but they never do excuse me, but they never do nothing with it. So
Yeah.
to bring it back with Q Force, it's honestly like up in the air on how they would if this would be greenlit or not. Because I'm like, it could whether or not if it has mixed reviews, it's like you really don't know what Netflix will do to that show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because
And
And
I will.
and
And
with I'm sorry, Robin.
well, I was gonna say because um, even though there's like so many shows out there, and like it's just almost like and it's going back to what you said, Will, about like even though like for some shows there's not so many popular reviews of them, but I haven't, but we haven't seen them yet. So it's kind of like, what if it is something that we do like? Because there are some movies on here that we reviewed that are, yes, in a general review sense, are really bad, but we really like these bad movies, some of them.
mhm,
Um
Yeah.
and I think it's the same thing with I guess with Q Force. Like it's not my favorite show. I'll be honest, I probably won't rewatch it. But if they do if they somehow make a second get a greenlit to do a second season, I may watch it,
mhm,
because the latter part of the season kind of really was like, oh, okay, it's starting to it's getting interesting.
yeah,
I wanna keep going with it.
mhm,
Whereas the opening, it's like it was setting some stuff up that we would eventually later see down the line, but like it's so a lot of the stuff that they're setting up is kind of minuscule in comparison to what comes later in the latter half.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
it's like because like a lot of like because it they conclude a lot of those like main plots that they had where it just like in the latter half is that's when they start focusing on that, but it just ends off real quickly. And I felt and like I'll repeat again, it's just like yeah they could have done a bit they could have done more with those premises to make it interesting. So like even when the show concludes with with the last episode of the season, it would have been interesting to be like, oh, what else do they have like more like what other secrets is the corporation hiding from them, and like what other mysteries that they don't know
and
because
given
go for it.
I was gonna say, like, it's hard to talk because I don't really want to talk about spoilers, because this show came out this year.
Mhm.
It
It
came
is
out
it's
this month.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, if like it's kind of hard, like that's why I think like we're probably not going to talk too much about it, because if we do talk about it, we're going to be going into spoilers. Um,
Mhm.
and because of just how brand new this show is, to the people out there, if you're interested in watching it, please watch it.
Yeah.
Um, it's good. It can't. It has the capability of being like good binge TV, in my opinion. It does have that feeling. If only like
Mhm.
they'll get renewed for a second season, and
Yeah.
that it's more consistent with the latter half of the first season throughout the entire season. Um,
Yeah.
And like I already know what I'm gonna rate it, but obviously we're not there yet, so I'm gonna wait for it until we get there. But I'm pretty much done with what I want to talk about with the show.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'll go off to you
Yeah.
guys.
I've got a
So
bit I want to talk about.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm like, I don't. There's really nothing else for me specifically to talk about.
Mhm.
But
Like
go ahead. Yeah,
that there's a lot of pros to this show, right? They've got a star-studded cast. Like
yeah, they do.
like Sean Hayes, from Will and Grace
Will and
fame.
Grace. Yeah,
Gary Cole, who was on The West Wing. I mean, just the so already
David
like
Harborough.
oh, and let me say who these people play. So
Yeah,
like Sean Hayes voices Steve Merriweather. So he's like
he's
the
the main
agent,
character.
the main character, the gay agent for the fake spy agency of the United States government, which is the AIA.
Yeah,
Because if they used CIA, I assume somebody would get mad at them or something. And
Mhm.
he's the one. He's this star. So the character Steve Merriweather is like the star of like the agency, uh, at least when he's about to graduate, and then things change. Uh, graduate from the academy, right? And
Mhm.
then there's like Gary Cole, who plays director Dirk Chunley, who's a dick. He's like
Yeah.
this hard-nosed,
He he
bureaucrat. He's a
he's
terrible
he's the
dude.
guy who's in charge, right?
He's the guy in charge. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a
Yeah.
dick.
Okay.
Uh, and then so David Harbour of Stranger Things plays Agent Rick Buck, who is a lot like Dirk Chunley, except he's got a side to him that we learn about later in the show where you kind of go, "Oh, okay, maybe he's not as bad."
Yeah.
So
Like
he has a
he.
small redemption arc, right? Like that's but he's like he's kind of shitty, you know.
Mhm.
Intentionally because
Yeah.
intentionally shitty.
Yeah, so
So
he's like both Dirk Chunley and Rick Buck are homophobes to varying degrees, right?
mhm.
But Rick Buck gets a redemption arc and Dirk Chunley just kind of doesn't. Then Stat, who's voiced by Patty Harrison. Um so she, and Patty Harrison, she's really funny. She was named like because I looked up all these people, right? Because some of them are kind of unknowns, not
Yeah.
unknowns, but um, she was named like one of the top 10 comics to watch in 2019, and
Mm.
she's, you know,
Because I'm looking at the person who plays SWAT, the Patty Harrison, and it showed that she was also in Big Mouth. She was a writer in Big Mouth,
oh yeah,
and
she's also a writer. Does she also write for the show? Because a
I
lot of
think
the voice actors are also writers, like they're doing both.
yeah, I don't know if she's a writer in this. I would have to
I think
look.
Sean Hayes is like an executive producer on the
Yeah,
Mhm.
show.
some of the bigger
Yeah,
named actors are also executive
yeah.
producers,
She
right?
was
So like they're putting
also
their money behind it.
Yeah.
yeah, because she was in that new Disney movie, The Raya and the Last Dragon, from what I'm
Oh,
seeing here.
oh, cool.
Yeah, so she's done some like a lot of like voice acting around. Oh shit, she was also in BoJack. She also had a spot in BoJack. So yeah, she's done like more than other like she's done voices for other films and to even like other Netflix shows that they've had. So she's been around here in Netflix for a while. But I did like her character, Stat. She was pretty chill.
Yeah, I like her character
Mhm.
in this. Uh yeah, stat see now we're getting to like so like the now we're getting to like the characters that I like the most.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because like okay, Steve Merriweather, and this is a critique I'll get to, but he's the white gay male cisgendered lead, right? So
Yeah.
like he does all the standard spy stuff. It he gets instead of getting the girl, he gets the guy, right? And like, he's athletic and he's smart and cunning and capable and he has the guns and he does all the stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a little bit more to the character, but like that's the thing, right? Like it's the spy thing. And like the
Mhm.
director's a dick and then Rick Buck's a dick and like okay, they're the obstacles or whatever in the show. And then Stat is like the genius hacker, right? But also, you know, she's got they well because they
They
don't
don't
give stats.
specify.
Yeah, they don't give
Yeah.
stats pronouns, so I'm gonna say they until I know. So
Mhm.
they don't identify stat, right? But stat's amazing at her job, their job. And okay, now we get the voiced by Laurie Metcalf, who's the
Mhm.
director, like the deputy director of the AIA, and like a badass from back in the day,
Yeah.
right? But oh my god, the storyline with V is amazing. Like that's actually like that strain of the story of like the whole story of Q Force, V's
Mm.
story is actually really good.
Yeah.
Like I actually
Yeah.
like the episodes that are very V
Mm.
centered
And those are,
because
and
I
that's,
actually like, and that's all towards, as Robin and Edgar I think both said, the later part of
mhm,
the season.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um
That's where I feel the show starts like picking up, where it goes because of her, basically her story of where it's going. So that was like, yeah, the V character. She was also really interesting. She had some funny lines too. I don't know. I did like the character Deb that was played by Wanda Skies.
Wanda Sykes, yeah.
Wanda Sykes, yeah.
Yeah, Deb
Yeah.
is great. Uh
Mhm.
and Wanda Sykes is really funny. Just her comedy is good. But
Mhm.
like yeah, Deb's a good sound character.
Yeah, she's
Like
in the show. She's like the not only like the she's like the buff like technician person, but she's
yeah,
also
the
like the
mechanic
mother.
technician, yeah.
Yeah, and she's known as like the mother in the group to like keep everything like on full circle as they just.
Yeah, there's an episode where Twink is like, "Where's mom? I mean, Deb." Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was a good piece of writing, I think.
Hmm.
But okay, so then there's Benji. I'm gonna do this real quick. Then there's Benji, voiced by Gabe Liedman, who's also a writer, I and producer for like shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Inside Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
Uh, and Mira Papadopoulos, voiced by Stephanie uh, Beatriz, who was also, I think, a right. No,
Yeah.
uh,
He's a writer in Pen
no,
15.
no. Oh, Gabe Liedman.
Yeah.
He played
Gabe.
Gabe Liedman also voiced Benji, who is the love interest for
Yeah,
Mary.
Benji.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And then Mira Papadopoulos, voiced by Stephanie Beatriz, who is, or yes, still is, uh Detective Rosa Diaz
Hmm.
on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So there's like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine connection here if any of y'all like that.
Yeah.
I like Brooklyn
Mhm.
Nine-Nine.
And I believe
Um,
she's gonna be in that. She's either like working. She's like a writer in the show, or she's gonna be part of the film, which is that newer Disney movie that's coming out. By the looks of it, it's the one that had Lin. It's by. I think it's been written by Lin Manuel Miranda's. I want to say that's what it looks like. I kind of forgot the name of the movie, but that's the one that I've seen her name. Which yeah, which I will say when that princess character comes into play and she tells her origin story, it took me a second to I was like, why? I'm like, why does it look I'm like, the character looks familiar, and I'm like, I'm like, what's her
it's a
origin look like? And then
it's a play
once
on the
she
Princess Diaries.
and once she turns around and I see how how she's dressed and looking, and then she starts talking about like certain stuff, I'm like, oh my god, it's the fucking Princess Diaries.
Yeah.
And
So like it's a good callback because like that movie, The Princess Diaries 1 and 2, were really like they were huge, right? So it's a
Mm-hmm.
great like illusion,
Really huge, like
you know.
those two movies.
It's like, oh, and even the name of the country is like in The Princess Diaries it's Genovia, but in Q Force it's Genorvia.
Mm.
Genorvya, Genorvia, or something like that. And it's
Genovia.
yeah,
It's
no, in it's
in
but it's
Q Force. Yeah.
in Q Force.
I was getting I thought you were talking about you're trying to say from Princess Diaries.
No, it's
How
Genovia
similar
in The
they are.
Princess Diaries, but this is like Genorvia.
Yeah.
It's they added like they changed the spelling but made it the same basically.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, haha, I get it. Like we're doing this as a parody, but also we're changing it just enough so we can't be sued, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also plot twists. I don't want to say what happens, but plot twists.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so a criticism of the show is that like they play really hard on stereotypes,
Mm.
but
Yeah, yeah, they
I
do.
don't think they make I think they play on stereotypes, but I don't think they make the stereotypes the jokes,
Yeah.
which is important. Like they have a character named Twink, right?
Mhm.
And he's like a club queen and is very femme and is a master of drag and all these things, right? Okay, cool. Like that's a little nail on the head, but also it's not the joke,
Yeah.
which is important. And Twink's one of the better characters in all of this.
Yeah.
Um Deb
Mhm.
is a mechanic, right? And like she and her wife have like 16 pit bulls and like okay, so you know, they're dog people. Okay, but like that's not the joke. The pit bulls are part of the joke because like what is it like there's a scene where like they go to Deb's house or something and she's like, "Yeah, you can't go in the garage because all 16 of my rescue pit bulls are there." And then she has names for all of them and like
All
she can
16 of them.
all 16 and like she has names for all of them, right?
Yeah.
And there's like that minute of the show like where she just names all of them, and that's really funny to me because they
Mhm.
spent like a lot of money animating those goddamn dogs, and they had to pay Wanda Sykes to just go, "Hey, uh like and like to just name all these dogs. Some of them have funny names, right? But she just
Mhm.
name all the dogs. How are y'all doing?" And then like they all bark. Like that cost a lot of money
Mhm.
for a
Yeah.
throwaway funny joke. And it's, so the stereotypes aren't the joke, but the plays on the stereotypes and the writing for the dialogue about the stereotypes like is funny, but it
Mhm.
I don't know, there's the interplay there makes kind of a blurred line, right? So I can see the criticism for
Mhm.
it.
I know.
Um
I know. For me, one of my criticisms. I know it's probably just it's one of the ones that I think it's sometimes the comedy in the show that they use. It's what I would call like the not yeah the Family Guy formula where it's they use a lot of like cultural reference like recent like pop culture stuff and
yeah,
it's they use that as the butt of the joke and sometimes those jokes can won't be recognized by a lot of people and that could leave the joke like fall flat, hence why that's and then because like example like Family Guy does that a lot where it's like you can get a hit or miss with a Family Guy like reference episode, like it could be funny to you but to the
Mhm.
rest of the people it's like well I don't get it because like you don't know like this certain pop culture thing that you would have seen from like TMZ or something, and those kind of jokes I feel like won't last that long, but
right. Like in Family Guy, oh, they're doing a The Shining reference with Stewie on
yeah.
the big wheel. I
Yeah.
get it. This is funny. But if
Or
you've never
like
seen The Shining or don't know anything about it, it's like I don't he's on a
What
mhm.
big
is
wheel and
what
then
is
he runs
this?
over twins. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the basic joke where it's like, "Hey Peter, remember the time?" That kind of thing. It's like it's like remember the time, and it's always going to be leading to like, oh, this reference on this certain actor or on this certain show reference or movie reference that we do, and sometimes that show the Q Force does those kind of like pop culture kind of like trying to reference those things jokes, and sometimes like not many people are gonna notice that and others and sometimes it could fall flat for me because I I feel like we all prefer like if they do like these kind of clever jokes because I know that's what I like about Archer. I like the what they do with that.
Yeah.
And I know like there's certain shows that, and also Archer kind of does it too. Like they do some of those culture shows, but sometimes they kind of like know how to like like kind of tie it in with like the rest of their show, and with those kind of lines. But that's kind of my main criticism with the show when it comes to like the comedy in it. That some of it really, other than the ones that like go over my head because I'm not really like in the community. I'm, as Robin said, like we're allies and we're supporters full on. But the other side of like the comedy itself, where it has that like very like too handholdy with the pop culture references for me personally.
I can see that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things in here, like in the show, where they like the show does a really good job of throwaway lines that, like, for example, um, there's a line that somebody says, something along the lines of like, uh, you can't, you can't, uh, you can't lie to, uh, you can't lie to the gays; they'll see right through you. You're just like Citibank at Pride, and it's like that's funny because, like, I don't want to get into politics, but like blah 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 rainbow capitalism, where it's like,
Mm.
hey,
Mhm.
every every summer all of these big companies make all of their logos into rainbows, and it's like you just want to sell us stuff, so we get it.
Mhm.
But also, you know, you halfway tried. So, like, we'll see right through you, like Citibank. Like Citibank only has one purpose: they want to make money because they're a business, and that's what businesses do, make
Yeah.
money. So
Mhm.
it's like we'll see right through you, and that's a really funny line, but it's throwaway. Like it's just you know, and the show's got like tonnage of that, like really good lines that are throwaway,
I'm just
but
I'm
like
laughing at
that.
what Stefan
Yeah,
put.
yeah. Or Eastern Europe. But they've got tonnage of it where they're really good lines and they made me laugh, but I just can't remember them because it was like, oh yeah, it's not like it's not like a big setup joke. It was just like, oh, you're just like this thing, but it's like observational comedy where, like, have you ever noticed where like spoons, and it's like, I that's not a memorable joke, but it was funny
Yeah.
when you said it. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever noticed that a picket fence kind of goes padoop padoop? It's like, okay, it's funny. Why is it funny? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
why do picket fences go padoop padoop? Um, it doesn't matter in the end. Like, but but it was a fun ride. I enjoyed the ride. Like, I don't know. I don't know if we're at the point where we want to just do the ratings or if
Mhm.
Edgar has more to say, but
Mhm.
I don't want to give away all the plot because people might want to
Yeah.
watch this show, and
It's a
like
brand new show.
it's
Mhm.
brand new, right? So I don't want to like go plot by plot point here.
Yeah,
But
I think that's mostly what I have left. But of course, if you have Netflix and if you want to check it out, yeah, I would say like to go check out the show and see what you guys think of it yourselves, and see. And some of you might enjoy it more than we did, or you find something you see more to it than we do. But um, for our since we know that it's a new show and it just released this month, we're not going to go into spoilers. So I guess if everyone here is all good with it, I think we could go to the our overall thoughts and ratings. Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Robin.
Robin, what did you overall think of the show and your rating for Q Force?
So I was even thinking about this when I was doing my 2 miles earlier, and I was like, it's a 3. It's a 3 out of 5. Mostly because uh, I like what they're trying to go for. I like what they're trying to do. I really enjoy. I enjoy a lot of the characters, specifically Stat and Twink, and the latter half of the show is the best part of the season. And I would, if they were to get a second season, I'd watch it. Um,
Mm.
the only thing is that the beginning of it kind of lacks some motivation to make a coherent story to fit in with what happens in the second half of it. And I kind of wish they would have done that throughout the entirety of it.
Mhm.
Also, for me personally, I just don't really care for the animation of how it looks. Um, I kind of wish they kind of went a bit more. I don't know. It just it. I think it the animation reminded me the of like the show Zaboomafoo, and then they turned it into like that animation
Oh,
kid
Wildcrats.
show. Yeah, Wildcrats. It reminds me of that animation, and I'm
Mhm.
not a big fan of it. It just
Mm.
feels too kid like.
Oh, I personally enjoyed Wildcrats as a kid. You know.
Well, I mean specifically for
Yeah, I know.
what this show is trying to do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It just to me it just didn't fit well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's mine. 3 out of 5. So
Mm.
Oh,
Alrighty.
hey, this show was, I think, animated by Titmouse, who also animates Big Mouth, the Venture
Venture
Brothers,
Brothers.
um, in different shows.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. It has that Venture Brothers look. I want to say, but Mr.
And Black
Will.
Dynamite for Adult Swim. So
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
Titmouse has. I think they do. I mean, obviously, if you compare this to some of those other shows, um, they are not the same animation style, right? So they shift around and stuff. But
Yeah.
I found that out for us. Anyway,
Yeah. Mr. Will, what are
so
your overall ratings?
Robin was a 3, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Um, I like the show.
Mhm.
I don't think the show's great. Um, but I probably like the show more than some people because I understand some more of the jokes.
Mm.
Um, but like,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna give the show a 3.5. I
Mm.
like it. Um, when if they get a next season, I'm gonna watch it just to see what happens to see hopefully if they improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the criticisms of the show, um, it's a little weaker in the beginning than the late, but I think we
Mhm.
need the beginning episodes to set up like you have to get to like and understand the characters to then understand why like the big twists in the end are so great, right? So I
Mhm.
think, you know, I think without one we don't get the other. So like the first episode I think is a little slow. I don't know about y'all, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a
Mhm.
little slow. But I find that for so many shows that I end up loving, where I go, I don't know about this. This first episode doesn't hook me,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and so
usually
like,
that's always the case with every uh
but
first
then
episode of
but
a
then
show.
there's shows like Parks and Rec and 30 Rock. They didn't do that for me. So
Mm.
so that's just a small critique there. So I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
giving it a 3.5. And there's some weaknesses to the show, but overall I think it's good. I like what it's trying to do. I'm part of the demographic that they want to pull in. I think they could do better. But they there's good stuff going on here. The writers, like the comedy portion, has the potential to be so good.
Mm.
The
Mhm.
storyline portion could use, I think, in parts a little work, in parts not. I thought some of the story was good. The stuff with V, I thought was really good. Deb
Mhm.
and her wife, I think, are amazing. We've got this like, you know, various characters have various like traumas and weaknesses, and some of those characters I don't think were delved into enough. Um, Stat and Twink, I don't think we delved into them uh,
Yeah.
enough,
Mhm.
and to some part Deb too. I think we could have had more Deb, but I also just really like Wanda Sykes. So if we had more
Yeah.
Wanda Sykes, I'd be happy. Uh, but I'm gonna give it 3.5, and I hope next season they do better if they get one. But that's my review. I think everyone should give it a try and see what you like. But
Yee.
Edgar, what did you think about the show just overall?
Overall, for a first season, other than the main things that I did enjoy, I did think that some of the characters were enjoyable to watch, and whenever it was like a focus on their character in the episodes, they had like their intrigue. Like I didn't, there was not really any characters that I really hated. The only one that I kind of got annoyed with was with Bush, like the very straight guy, the or
Buck.
not Buck.
Buck.
There you go. He kind of like annoyed me. I didn't really like the character that much. And the other criticism obviously that I've been saying is the how the show is structured. I felt like the way they could have structured the show, where you would have like throughout the show would be like the episode of the day, like the mission of that day, and as it continued, like you could intertwine like that main story plot that involves V and some other characters to continue on through that whole thing in order for the whole show to feel engaging. But unfortunately, like the first half, like the first 5 episodes weren't the strongest. It was kind of like excuse me. There was you had like there were like enjoyable shows like for a while I always thought it was like, oh, it's gonna be the mission of the day, and that's what they're doing. But sometimes whenever, and the other one is like they bring up like this thing that seems like it's gonna be very important, but then it just ends at that episode and we never hear from it again. And I felt like that kind of like that's one of the parts that made the first 5 episodes for me kind of weak. And then once we get to that storyline that picks it up, it gets to that point where it's interesting. But I feel like that story could have been something that they could have continued if they did a second season. I felt like that would have been a great way to end it without like there's more things that like bring up the story to continue on. But at the same time, I do and the animation, I don't hate the animation because I did like how it felt like a Saturday morning cartoon, because I did also get that like Brothers vibe where it had that potential to like do it. I do hope that these people get another chance to improve everything they have, especially with the comedy, with the animation, and with what story they'll continue and what they'll do with the characters in the future. Because I feel like there is something there. There is potential for this show to get better and to be a good show. It's only a matter of fact of what Netflix thinks and what everyone thinks and what other plans they have for this. But the overall rating, I'm gonna go the same as Robin. I'm giving it like a 3, because I feel like it's not, I don't think it's like a middle of the road where it's not, where I'm like meh. I think it's like I'm not, I don't love it, but but at the same time I don't hate it at all. I think more that it has potential for something. There is inside in that show, there is a potential for something to be great, especially with what certain characters we have. I feel like if they make another season, they could be able to flesh out like a lot of the main characters, change some things, improve on the animation as well, to keep it, to keep it going, to keep the story flowing. Because I feel like the premise itself, I mean, it has that potential, but it's only a matter of time to see if it'll get greenlit for a second season. But I'd give it 3 stars out of 5, 3 out of 5.
Nice.
Alrighty.
Yeah. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of our review of Q Force, but we ain't done yet. We're not done. We still have our untitled segment idea. So, without further ado, gonna play the intro right now with a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and untitled segment idea. So, I'm going to start with Will. Mr. Will, what have you recently read, seen, eaten, etc., etc., etc.?
Let's see. I'm reading through A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. Um,
Mm,
cracking that open again. Um, I like it.
nice.
I enjoyed it. It's a good book. Did Edgar? Did you just whisper books?
Yeah.
What have you done or read or? Oh, I'm reading a book. Books. Like okay, yeah.
Book.
Yes.
God damn it.
Book. Ooga ooga book.
I enjoy
Anyway.
book. Book.
Will from South Texas like book.
Book.
Maybe Edgar like book.
Book.
Robin,
Maybe
get Edgar book.
I'm not buying you any books, Edgar.
I say book, book, book. Ooh,
Bring me book.
ooh.
So I'm reading that. I'm also trying to find some mods for Skyrim that I like. I think Stefan and Robin might have to, walk me through this whole Nexus thing that I don't understand.
It's easy
But-
once you figure you figure out how to use it.
I know it'll be easy once you explain to me how I do it. So yeah. Once we figure out how to do that, we'll figure it out. But I'm all yeah, I've been watching Shameless, and I I've been I've been watching Shameless on Netflix, Supernatural on Netflix, and I'm rewatching 30 Rock on Netflix. And I just like roll through those shows throughout the when I have free time. Like when I'm like cooking in the kitchen, as opposed to when I'm cooking on the dance floor. Hey, I'm just kidding. It's
Oh.
COVID's happening and we shouldn't be out.
Oh.
I know. It's sad. But yeah, it is really unfortunate. Wear masks. Anyway, so when I'm cooking in the kitchen, like I'll have my phone on, right? And I'll just like play 30 Rock because I've seen it all like 1,000 times, right? But like it's just such a good show. And I'll doing shit. I don't even have to watch it. I know the episodes. So I'm just cooking and doing things and like watching 30 Rock. But like when I'm having like when I want to like have downtime, boom, Shameless or Supernatural because I'm finishing Supernatural. I'm on season I think 13 or 14. I can't tell anymore. There's so goddamn many seasons. Robin?
Yes, Robin. What have you recently read, watched, seen, etc., 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 etc.?
Well, I just played a game. Two games actually are by the same people, and I'm not going to get too much into it because it's an experience you have to play for yourself. It's a game
Is this
called
maybe player 2 content?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, I was just curious and thought I'd ask.
So, the first game that this pair of people made, I can't remember their names, but they made a game called Plug and Play, and the other one is called Kids. They're both very interesting, I have to say.
And Robin gifted me today Plug and Play. I have no idea what's about. He hasn't told me anything about it, but sooner or later I have to play it.
Yeah, you're gonna play it. I'm not gonna tell you anything. If the people out there who haven't played it yet want to play it, they're each $3 on Steam. So get it if you want to. It is a very short game. And yeah, the other game I'm trying to get back and I want to play it again because this is another one that you have to kind of play for yourself because it's like there's a lot of layers to it. And that's Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh,
Stop. What is this?
You've
It
never heard of
is-
it? Wait, no, wait. You never heard of Doki Doki Literature Club?
I just Wikipedia'd it, but I don't know if this it
Oh.
by the looks
No,
of
no,
it,
no.
we need to
It
stop
is
talking
not-
about this.
No. It's not what you think it looks.
Yeah, it's
It
not.
is definitely not that. So it is disguised as a dating sim. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of layers to it that I can't talk about because you can spoil what's going to happen.
Mhm. It's free on Steam. You could get it for free, or if you want to get like the deluxe edition that they released recently. But yeah, go. It's kind of like if you play like Undertale, but like it's a different way because there is more to Doki Doki Literature Club. So if you want to try it out, Will, I recommend trying out Doki Doki Literature, especially if you've never heard of it or have never played it.
I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
recommend.
lie. That's probably just not gonna happen. But I appreciate y'all trying to make me hip. I'm just
Let's just say
Nah.
it is like it's kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
okay. I'll maybe consider it.
You
We're gonna
got-
talk about this after we sign off. How about that?
Alrighty.
Because there are some people who are listening that haven't played it and they want to, and I don't want to talk about it
Yeah.
because it is major spoilers. But that's me.
Major.
Edgar, what have you played, listened to, read, etc., etc., etc.?
Me. So what I've done, I played I've paused Ghost of Tsushima for a bit so I could start playing Destroy All Humans. And so far I really enjoy it. I like the concept and the idea of it where you play as the aliens and you're destroying and you're trying to control and destroy Earth. And so I like that about that game. It's fun, especially once you do like the open world stuff when you're like around those kind of parts. It's fun. I'm excited for the sequel though, Destroy Our Humans 2. I'm excited to see how that plays out. And the other thing, the other thing that I've been doing recently is I've been binging, rewatching, and trying to finish, well, not catch up technically, with Doctor Who. It's been a while since I've seen Doctor Who. I think I started watching Doctor Who before I became a freshman in high school because I wanted to see how that went. I'm like, oh, let me see how this show goes. And then like for the whole summer, I started binging, boom, 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 next episode. This was around the time when, streaming service weren't that big of a thing unless like Netflix or Hulu. So I totally did not grab an app that I can download it illegally. I totally did not do that. So
No,
I
we
could
wouldn't
binge.
because
we
that would
wouldn't.
be illegal, and
Yes.
we would never do that.
We would never do that. We don't
Edgar.
ever do that. So I watched it the way it always should. So like I would always watch it and boom, and I really enjoyed Doctor Who. I enjoyed it a lot. I know it has like that cheesy stuff, but I like it. I like the cheese that it has in here, and I enjoy the story and where it goes with this Doctor Who. At the moment, I'm at the David Tennant section. I just started the one where he's with the other companion, not Martha Jones, but the other lady, the redhead. So I'm technically almost finished with that, and I'm almost in the Matt Smith section, which I don't know if I said it on stream, but I still think David Tennant is the best Doctor in the Doctor Who series. You can't change my mind at all.
I mean,
he's the best.
He is.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with Matt Smith. He's pretty chill. Like he does some fun stuff. But I mean, David Tennant, man, he's the best. Like the best. And then Peter Capaldi, what I've seen from him, he's not terrible. Like he's not bad. It's just I kind of stopped watching at that time because I was already not in that phase of Doctor Who anymore.
There's
But
also Eccleston.
Oh yeah, he only did one season. Yeah, I mean he's not bad either. But I mean it's David Tennant. It's David Tennant. It's David Tennant, and I haven't seen the recent Doctor. The one who's where he's now a female. He turned into one.
I heard that they're not because there are people who don't like the new Doctor because it's a woman, which is stupid.
Mhm.
But I have heard that that the writing in the recent season is not that good.
Yeah,
It's doing really poorly.
that's what I've heard. That's what I've been hearing about that. But I'll see when I get there because I know with I didn't catch up with that, but with Peter Capaldi, I was like, okay, I like where this goes because he was still with the other companion and stuff, but I don't know. I just fell off for it for a bit, and I had something else to say, but then Robin, you interrupted, so it kind of fell out of my brain.
Yeah.
So,
Yay! Oh my god!
God dang it, Robin! I had it like in my brain, and then like it just disappeared, and I'm just like I'm trying like really hard to remember what the fuck I was gonna say.
Derailing the situation. Yay!
I'm sorry, I blacked out. What's happening? Are we live?
Yeah.
Hi. Welcome to the show. Today we're gonna talk about Monk.
But yeah, overall, David Tennant's the best. He's a real cool doctor. I like what I've been seeing all that time. I saw that episode where everyone's taking the pills to lose fat, and then like because the fat literally walks away. And when I saw the fat come out and they're like talking, they're walking, I'm like, oh, they look like the beans from Fall Guy. I'm like, holy shit, because they were talking like that, and I'm like, all I'm thinking is like they sound like woo 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 when all the beans walking around there. And I'm like, no, look at the little cute fats that are walking away, and they literally kill. If all of them come out, the human will like die and turn into little beans.
God damn it! I forgot about that. It's coming back to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now I remember what I was gonna say. Okay, because it was about like how people were like hating that the doctor was gonna be a female in there, and I'm like, I mean, the master, like the other character in the show that's also a Time Lord, he turns into like the master's next form is a female. Spoiler alert, but and like I think.
Well, god damn it! Now I can't watch the show anymore.
Because I'm like when when she comes back, the master. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I really liked the actress who was playing the master. She did a really like she was really entertaining to watch. And I'm like, how come I'm like, see, it's like it's a good example of like, yeah, the doctor can be female as well. Like you can have like it's there's nothing wrong. It's not gonna change anything. It could be fun. So who knows? It's gonna take a while to like I feel like it'll be soon that I get to her story when we get to that doctor. But until then. That.
Oh,
but,
let me just.
But yeah.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah. But that is the end of the show. Of course, if you guys don't know, we're always gonna say this every time. Our good buddy Garudin, we'll always thank him for making us the intro we have here on the show. Oh, we love you, buddy. And you could follow him in the description below on Twitch or anywhere you're listening or watching this. And also follow us on our social medias, so you can get updated on everything we do here and when we go live again and all that stuff. And of course, if you're listening to us anywhere else, follow us, subscribe to us, give us a follow on Twitch, all that good jazz. Be part of the community. We got a Discord as well, so join in there as also, so you could keep up and join us in this growing community. We want to continue growing this. We're trying to hopefully get to 100 followers on Twitch. Hopefully, one day in the future, we're trying to get to get 100 followers on Twitch soon before the end of the year. Hopefully, maybe we don't know yet. And anything else before we go? Anything else you, Robin and Will? Any last words before we head out?
I'm going away for a while. I'm leaving. I'm gonna go punch a rhino in the face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta find one, and It knows what he did.
Oh.
Yeah, by the way, no, I'm not just punching any rhino in the face. It's a very specific rhino. I'm gonna find him. You know what you did, Steve?
What the fuck?
Yeah, Steve.
But I'll tell y'all how that goes next time we go live. Yeah,
True that.
punch that rhino in the face.
But yeah, I know
Right
stuff
in the
on
face.
the thing. I do need to still fix that thing up. I don't know what's going on with it, but I will make sure to fix it soon. But anyways, guys, Will's gonna punch a rhino. Robin's gonna continue eating his raw potatoes. I'll just be watching. And thank y'all.
Whole
Thank you.
sack full of raw potatoes. Yeah. Thank y'all. Y'all
Thank
have a
you.
good one.
Thank you all for watching. And no, not that one. This one. No. This
We're
one.
professionals.
Bye-bye.
You know what buttons we press.
Bye.
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 Quaid.
Bye.
Insert noises.
Quaid. Noise.
Maybe Craigifer Jones comes back next time.
Oh
Maybe.
my god.